It's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. We're back live on the Big Mountain.
Welcome back to the Big Mountain. I am wearing another Capitals jersey because I am an avid Capitals fan since 1989. But, Steve,
Yes.
because I love the Big Mountain and our Mountain Dwellers so much, I am missing live Capitals playoff hockey in order to do this show. And that's because I love the Dwellers and you this much.
That's a big, hey, that's huge.
But we're going to keep it kind of short tonight.
Yeah. Yes.
So Steve has a couple Big Ten spring ball QB update type of deals.
Yep.
USC, UCLA we're going to get into. Of course, I tell you what, Steve, we say this every time. Wednesday is the hot day for college football announcements. I know Immaculate is in the chat. And I have not had the chance to read up on everything. I have a very brief overview of what the hell's going on right now. We will get to that at the end. We're going to start with the Big Ten stuff. I see tons of people in the chat, which is fantastic. I see Surf City Bill. We missed him.
Surf City Bill, welcome back.
Steven's in the chat. Jerry, JBR, Go Big Red, JEH, one of our original Mountain Dwellers. Sergeant Morehue. Who am I missing? R. Vegas is in the house. Fia in the house. I need a baseball jersey, not while hockey's playing, Fia. Not while hockey is still on and not while my Capitals are in the playoffs. Speaking of jerseys, though, I'm just going to throw this out there.
Okay.
I met today with a new provider of accoutrement, and I'm hoping we can get some better and more realistic prices for swag for Big Mountain merchandise. Hopefully that'll be out in about a month or so, because I think people are interested in some of our swag, but I'll be straight up honest, the shop that we have via the online stuff, it's kind of pricey.
Yeah.
And the company I'm talking with is local. I can feel and put on the product, and it's going to be high class, high quality, and I'm super excited to unleash the new Big Mountain store. And I know you and I are going to be the first buyers because we need some stuff.
I need some Big Mountain polos.
Yes, we're going to get some Big Mountain polos.
You know, I'm a polo guy, and I have no Big Mountain polos. So.
Yes. I see Mr. Ed. He is in the house. Good to have you. He and I go back and forth on some hockey stuff in a while.
Yeah.
So I'm not watching the Capitals right now. I will be watching them here shortly. Squeeze Money, Brady Moon, an awesome extra that I have with. Baby Once Bling, haven't seen that person in a little while. Good to have you all in the chat, Steve. Do you want to say hello?
So we got to say hello to Squeezed Money.
Squeeze Money.
I'm now one of his Twitter followers. I saw him comment on a couple of our things, so I had to follow him on Twitter. So Squeeze Money, I'm watching you. Welcome back again tonight.
Shout out to R. Vegas, hardcore, missing hockey, respect for JY. I appreciate it. I mean, Steve will tell you, Capitals are my number one. I love the Mountain West. I love college football. Hell, we're doing the Big Mountain because of college football. But the peak of JY's mountain is the Washington Capitals. And I'm committed, baby. I'm committed.
We need to get you. They need to see you in some Washington Capitals red sweatpants. And then they'll really know what kind of Washington Capitals fan you are.
I don't got them no more.
Oh, man.
I have jerseys. While they're still in the playoffs and while we are doing live shows, I think I'm going to be wearing Capitals merch, jerseys or the like, while we do this, while they're hopefully still alive in the playoffs. And last I left them, they were up 2-1 in game 2.
Just keep winning.
Just keep winning, baby. All right, so Brad Stanton, hello, everyone. Love you guys saying hello to everybody on the chat. Really appreciate all you. Bill is in Addison, Illinois. Very, very good. And I announced the other day, Steve, I made it official that you and I will be going to Vegas in July for the Mountain West Media Days, woot, woot. And the flights are booked.
Woot, woot.
I don't know where the hell we're sleeping,
but
I can guarantee you we're going to get there and we're going to get home.
Who says we're sleeping?
I mean, maybe we won't. 3 days of straight Big Mountain.
The bars, the casinos are open all night.
I hear that. I'm a little old now. I don't know if I can do it, but we could certainly give it a go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, good to have you all in the chat. Do you want to get right into it?
Yeah, let's go.
We're
Let's
going
roll.
Big Ten?
Let's go. Let's
Who are you
roll right
going,
in the Big Ten.
You're going UCLA.
Yeah,
who
so
has had all kinds of news.
and my lead into that is for that college football guy, Bill, who is a
Yes.
Tennessee Volunteer fan, a Vols fan. Obviously, as he's been tweeting out tons of stuff about Nico. I am Leva Lava. I can never say his name.
Let's just say Nico.
How about Nico? I'm a leaving.
Okay.
Because that's what he did. He left Tennessee. Unfortunately, I know some. And here's the thing: Nico he was a true freshman. He was definitely a freshman last year. Leads his team to the playoff, but he definitely had a lot of limitations. That was a Tennessee Volunteer team that had, to me, definitely a top 10 defense in the country, maybe top 5 defense in the country. You know, a basically all conference, all America running back, or at least a great running game. And he managed the team. He didn't do so well in that playoff game against Ohio State.
Yeah.
So for me, he was he's basically a guy who has a lot of potential. Maybe we didn't see all that potential last year, and I'm not sure if we're going to see it this year in UCLA. And yeah.
Well, let me just say, there's only one great 8.
Yes.
Have to say that.
Yes.
I mean, he's trying to steal it, but there's only one great 8.
Yeah, he doesn't earn anything.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Well, let's get into it. I know we got Nico up on the screen. He thinks he's all that in a bag of Doritos.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is they did a QB swap. You might get into that here in a little bit too, but I don't want to steal your thunder. So let's get into UCLA.
So Nico transfers Tennessee to UCLA. I'm going to go back in time just a little bit to last Friday. UCLA had their Friday night lights. It wasn't a normal spring game. It was a scrimmage that they wanted to run like basically kind of like a real, almost like an NFL practice. We see in training camps how the NFL teams do those training camp practices, and they have fans there and whatever. That was what they wanted to do. Have recruits there, fans there, everything. And at that point, Nico was just visiting. And Joey Aguilar, who had basically won the starting job. He was taking first team reps that night. He's had a great spring practice. They didn't want to announce him as the starter coming into spring, but he really grabbed that job. Looked really good all spring, commanding that offense, especially Friday night. That night where Nico was visiting was kind of ironic because Joey Aguilar, he took all the first team reps, was just killing it, doing really, really well. The offense looked great. And now we have this situation where Nico transfers in, Joey Aguilar leaves and goes to Tennessee.
Right.
I was really wondering, we saw the Notre Dame kid, Angeli, leave Notre Dame. I thought maybe Tennessee would try and sign him.
Yeah.
They had some other options. Honestly, Tennessee may end up better this year in this swap of Joey Aguilar and Nico. Now, I think Nico has more long-term potential.
Right.
So we'll see. As far as Nico this year, UCLA, I think, is going to be improved from last year. But I don't know that Nico is really going to be a step up for them this year for quarterback play. The potential is there for like next year or maybe in his 4th year of playing national championship caliber if he can develop into that guy.
Well, and Bill called us last week. Had a fun time last week on our call-in show. And Bill asked me about the UCLA UNLV game.
Yeah.
And as I said, I'm going to do more digging on that. But man, I'm going to be dropping a Mountain West transfer portal update tomorrow. And I'll tell you what, man, I know UNLV lost a lot of talent, but man, they have brought in some talent as well. So I'm anxious for that game. I think it's week 2, if I remember, or 2 or 3. And I am very anxious for that game.
And that's the time to catch UCLA, I think, because again, last year we saw them get better and better as the season went on. I think they will do that again this year.
Yeah.
Deshaun Foster, he had a terrible press conference last year to begin the season, but I think what he did, him and his staff have really done well there, developing, and I think they're going to continue to do that. But I think it's really good that UNLV is catching them early in the season, because I think UCLA may struggle a little bit early in the season. Bring in Nico, a new quarterback. He doesn't have the spring there.
Right. Yes.
He's transferring. He was already kind of inexperienced. And the guy who really had gotten the mastery of the offense is transferring out.
Right.
So
right.
I do want to talk about some other things. They had this UCLA thing, Friday Night Lights. everything I saw about it, great atmosphere, tons of fans, tons of recruits, was really cool. And again, Aguilar was still there. He was running that offense. They had wide receiver Xavier Staples was wowing the crowd with big catches, circus catches, looked like a real weapon. And a guy that I want to talk about, Jalen Berger. He's a guy, as a Penn State guy, was very familiar. He was recruited by Penn State. Ended up, I think he went to Rutgers and then transferred to UCLA, if I remember. Or maybe was committed to Rutgers and then went to UCLA. It looks like he's going to be the primary back. And honestly, this guy could be a stud, like a top 5 running back in the country. And it looks like what the coaching staff really wants to do is play tough defense, running game, hard-nosed football, kind of the formula that Michigan showed, the old school formula that Michigan showed a couple years ago, winning the national championship. And so I think Jalen Berger is going to be the primary back there. They do have a really nice backup. I think it's Anthony Frias, or Frias. He's going to push him. And really, he could be a starter at many other places, but Jalen Berger that's a name to know this year. I think he's going to get a lot of touches. I think the UCLA offensive line is going to be pretty good this year. They're going to run the ball a lot. And their defense, again, they really progressed last year. I think they're going to progress more and more this year. They really owned the offense for most of this spring. Now, it sounds like the offense finally caught up for this Friday Night Lights event, but the offense, just they're focusing big hits, they're tough, they're physical. They want to play that Michigan style of football this year. So that might be good for Nico, where honestly, similar to what he had with Tennessee, but UCLA is not on that level that Tennessee is talent-wise on defense and their running game. But that's really what Deshaun Foster's trying to build there. So that's really it on Tennessee. The transfer, it is what it is. People are calling this like the first ever quarterback trade in college football.
Yes.
And I don't want to get into all the details. That's just the environment we're in right now with NIL. There's no real rules. There's no guardrails. It's Wild West. We talked about that. And until we get some guardrails and some rules with this stuff's going to keep happening.
Well, we're going to get to that in a little bit. I know you have USC you want to get to next, and then we'll talk about a little bit of what's going on in terms of governance changes, NCAA, things that they're doing, and then, of course, news that came out just about an hour or two ago regarding the House settlement that we want to talk about. Are you good with UCLA?
I'm good with them.
All right, let me hit a couple comments, and we'll get to USC next, because I want to hear about the quarterback situation. I'm a fan of one of the quarterbacks, or maybe the quarterback. So JEH is talking about the 2025 PAC media deal. There's a lot of, I should say one person in particular, Mr. Canzano, thinks that it's very, very close to being announced. And I'm sure that it is. I'm not going to say it's today or tomorrow or Friday or whatever. But Canzano is pretty adamant that he believes the announcement's going to be coming here with the 2025 deal. Not a huge deal for me. I mean, they're probably CW. The only thing that'll be interesting to me with the PAC deal for 25, and by the PAC I mean Oregon State and Washington State for 25, is if any content is on another network. There's a lot of smoke billowing about Fox right now. I'll be anxious to see if Fox is a part of the 25 kind of media agreement here, because that could be pretty telling. Some people say, well, wow, if they're going to go to the PAC, they've left the Mountain West, and I would say not necessarily. I think there's enough inventory and enough interest that Fox, in particular, could have interest in both the PAC and the Mountain West, because remember, the PAC, assuming they have 8 football teams in 26, which is where I'm at for 26, that's 4 games in conference. That's it. And I would assume, that they're going to be wanting more late night windows than just, it's not even 4. I mean, they're going to have earlier games than 4. Yes. So I really think if you see Fox come out as being a party to the 25 deal, I wouldn't right off the bat say, oh, they're done with the Mountain West.
Right.
I would say, let's hold off and see what comes. Because I see a lot of people being like, well, if they went with the PAC, they're not going to go with the Mountain West. I'm not going to jump that far yet. I think the inventory is way more important than just 3 or 4 games.
Everybody's looking for the late night inventory.
Yep, absolutely. And there's really 2 conferences that can give that, and that's the Mountain West and the PAC. And a little bit of, I guess, the Big Ten because of
yeah.
Oregon,
Right.
a couple games. You're only talking 1 or 2 games. You're
Correct.
not talking a ton of games.
At most 2 games a week, at
Right,
most.
exactly, right. There was a couple more here. I did want to give a shout out to, where was it here? I know I went way back up. Carla Jenkins in the house. Appreciate all of her retweets. I know she really puts out a lot of our content on her X. And she's just saying, hey, great ambassadors to the Mountain West Conference. Really appreciate that. We're really excited that we're going to be going to Vegas here in July. We hope to bring you guys tons of great Mountain West content. And as I said, we're going to try for a meet and greet. We'll see what that looks like. JY has big plans, and I shan't say them because then I will have to live up to them. But I do have some big plans for what that may look like. And then I see we have Tyler here, and he's an NDSU guy. I am big into the Bison. I'm big into Tarleton State. So I'm going to keep banging that drum until at least one of them happens for the Mountain West. And yeah, I guess we're basically caught up to date. So you ready to go to USC?
Yeah, let's talk about USC.
Okay.
So USC, no spring game this year. Lincoln Riley was one of many coaches that decided to axe the spring game, want to keep things under wrap a little bit more. So it actually was a lot harder to find really good intel. Some of the beat writers there were able to see some of the practices and stuff. So there was really I think there was 2 open practices.
Okay.
So I really had to dig into that. But from everything I'm reading, Jaden Maeva, transferred last year from UNLV to USC, played the last 4 games of the year for the USC last year, went 3-1 as a starter. Everything that I'm hearing and seeing, he's looked great all spring. He firmly has control of that starting job. He looks like a dude that's about ready to explode where, he kind of, with UNLV a couple years ago, he got put on the map, especially with like Mountain West fans.
Right.
And people watching games later at night. But this year, it might be where he explodes onto that national scene, even, Heisman talk and stuff like that.
Wow.
We know Lincoln Riley's track record with quarterbacks.
Yep.
You can, all his other faults and sins or whatever. The one thing is his track record with quarterbacks is great. And Maeva has all the tools, the physical tools to be an NFL quarterback, in my opinion. So they've kept their spring football under wraps, but it looks like definitely Maeva has the job. He has a good a lock on it. And Lincoln Riley, he did answer some questions about Maeva. He said the big thing, Maeva developed a lot from last year. Last year, he was just the new guy with a lot of talent.
Right.
And they tried to limit how much of the offense, the playbook they gave him, and he came in and did pretty good with a limited playbook.
Okay.
But this year, the biggest difference is his development. Lincoln Riley says he has command of the entire offense.
Okay.
He's basically like the coach out there and running the offense. They don't, that's where he's come from the new guy who barely knew the playbook to the guy he is in charge of the playbook, basically,
veteran
out there.
almost, right?
Yes.
he is the veteran.
Yeah,
now,
he
right?
is. And he is Lincoln Riley's extension on the field. At least that's what Lincoln Riley's saying in spring ball when you're playing against air. So, we'll see in the season, but he definitely has that potential, in my opinion, to be that guy that explodes onto the scene and people are like, where is this guy? Where did he come from? So that's pretty exciting. I did want to talk about a few other things with USC.
Yep.
Jacoby Lane, again, another guy that has the potential to just jump onto the scene. Really talented wide receiver, total weapon. He was a really awesome weapon for them last year, but he had some games where he kind of had basically had a fit on the sideline, like just got into emotional hissy fit type stuff, didn't get his way, didn't like the coverage on him, didn't like not getting thrown the ball, and he had a few games. So what they've really focused with him this year is controlling his emotions and being consistent, because he's so talented. He can make those big plays. If they can just get him to settle in, just kind of like grow up and be, control his emotions, and be consistent, he might be a guy that really explodes onto the scene as well. I see David Jorgensen just popped in.
He is, yeah.
Welcome, DJ.
That's right.
And the next thing I want to talk about, we talked last year a lot about, let's see here. Oh, Danton Lynn, the move last year of the defense coordinator from UCLA to USC. their defense really looked a lot better in the first half of the season. Now, they had just injury after injury, and they kind of petered out down the season, down the stretch a bit. But you saw the beginnings of what Danton Lynn wanted to do last year. And this year, he is really able to implement it a lot more. They have Rob Ryan, former NFL defensive coordinator, has come in to coach the linebackers. Rex Ryan's brother with the crazy hair. And
I got him.
Yeah. He has come in and is coaching the linebackers, and it's basically, he's kind of running things partly himself as like an NFL style practice.
Okay.
And Danton Lynn is really able to kind of step back and focus more on the strategy of the defense. And what he really wants to do this year, he wants to increase their versatility in the backfield. You know, they're playing teams like Oregon, Ohio State, all those kind of teams.
Yep.
They're going, just like we talked about Penn State, they're going to increase their diversity in the backfield where they can play sometimes 5, 6, maybe 7 defensive backs. And they have guys who can cover the slot corners. They have guys who can drop back deep into coverage, who can come up in the box and help against the run.
Yep.
They have a few guys like that, but he wants to develop 5 or 6 of them that can play basically anywhere. They can come up and play as linebackers. Okay. They can drop back and play as free safeties. They can cover the slot guys. They can go out in coverage. The perfect example last year, they have a guy still, DJ Harvey. Last year they were able to move him all around. He would come up and play in the box. He would drop back as a free safety. He would cover the slot guy. And so they're really trying to make all of their defensive backs be able to do that. And so they're cross-training them in all the different positions. They have a lot of athletic guys, and that will give them more versatility. So when you're playing a team like Minnesota or UCLA that just wants to run on you, you have the ability to stop that. But then when you got to play Oregon or Ohio State and cover, all those 5-star wide receivers that are running around the field, you have the flexibility to do that. So this is kind of the next step in his master plan, and he's got Rob Ryan helping him. So I really, last year it was like a show me with their defense.
Yes.
They showed us a little bit,
yes,
but then they fell off. So this year I think that's the thing with the next big step. And if they can increase their defense a little bit, and with Jordan Maeva, if he can take that next step, they could be a pretty good team. Now, I will say they have a very hard schedule. So I'm going to do some more work before I give a prediction on them for their over-under record, because their schedule is pretty darn hard.
Okay.
But I think they can be a very much improved team from last year.
Okay, well, I've been pretty hard on USC since we started this channel, but I am a Jaden Maeva fan.
Yeah.
And so I'm hopeful that they have a decent season. They're not going to be a 10-2 team. They're just not. But I'm thankful that, and this is where, in my opinion, the transfer portal works for the player.
Yeah.
Where he can get some playing time at UNLV. He gets great reps. He gets great recognition. He shows what he's worth. Yep. He gets that call up to a USC, which, quite frankly, on the West Coast, there's nobody bigger. I mean, for quarterbacks, that's where you want to be with Lincoln Riley. And then he becomes a starter at the end of the year. You can't feel better about a kid and the position he's been able to kind of make for himself. So I am a massive Jaden fan.
Yes.
So I will be anxious to hear what you have to say throughout the season about USC because of their quarterback, because of his ties to UNLV. And that's not a knock on the Mountain West or a UNLV or a G5 program. It is what it is. And, it's not an equal playing field. It's just not. If anybody thinks that's what we should have or that's what used to be, it's never been that way. So let's live in reality and let these kids, make the best for themselves as they possibly can. So I'll get off my soapbox on that. But I'm anxious to watch. When he switched to USC, I went, that's a massive jump. But clearly, Riley and those saw something in him, and so much so that he's a freaking starter now. So, good for him, right?
On a team that has big expectations, they want to compete for the college football playoff, Big Ten title. And I'll say big for UNLV because they can show that progression.
Sure.
Also, I want to mention Coach Marion at Sac State.
Yes.
Who was a huge part of his development there.
Yep.
And he can use it. Maeva really breaks through at that national level this year. He can use that with his potential quarterback recruits there at Sac State to say, hey, I brought this guy along, I developed him, and now look where he is and what he's doing.
Agreed. So I'm anxious for that, to see what happens with you. Again, I'm not a USC guy, but I am a Jaden Mayava fan.
Yeah.
So, I'll be torn a little bit. Anxious for him, whatever about USC. But DJ brings up a good point. The Big Ten, and this is true. I mean, we've talked about this in terms of viewers.
Mm-hmm.
The Big Ten needs USC to be a big boy again.
Yes.
They paid the money. They went west. For them to be a big boy, they need to be a big boy.
Yep.
I'm not sure they can be yet.
Yeah.
They in the future maybe, but I'm not sure they're there yet. Not for, you've talked so much about, not Fox, but NBC and the media partners being a little bit unhappy with where things are at. And I put a lot of that on the Western editions, with the top of that being USC. Like, am I wrong in that? Like, that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think coming in, USC and Oregon, those were the two teams where you say, like, hey, they're big boys on the block. They can come in and do something. Oregon did it last year. They ran through the Big Ten, including won the Big Ten championship. USC, it's time for them to kind of show the same thing, and I agree. And from a marketing perspective and all that, I totally agree with what you're saying. Yeah. Now, I will say, we talked about how a 12-team playoff benefited Penn State a lot. I think USC is another team that a 12-team playoff. If they could go 9-3 with the record they have with the schedule they have, they could slide into a playoff, which will just give them more kind of forward momentum.
Yeah. Well, let's go on. Immaculate saying there's some hot reporting right now from Dellinger in terms of what's going on with the settlement. So let's go to that next.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to governance, and I'll get there because I want to talk about maybe what new governance may mean for FCS schools moving to FBS. Sam Herder put something out. I know Immaculate got me onto that, and it's really important. But I do want to let's go quickly to the settlement.
Yes.
Because news came out here just a few hours ago that Judge Wilkins has basically said that the whole grandfathering in of roster limits or phasing in, same thing, of roster limits is it's a non-negotiable for her. Mm-hmm. She has to have it to approve the settlement. And I'm going to be dead honest with you. I mean, duh.
Right. It seems like the easiest thing to do.
It's the easiest thing to do. And the response from the committee, or the response from the conferences was like, oh, it's too difficult. She could care less.
Yeah.
She couldn't care less.
And it's temporary.
It's temporary.
Yes.
Whatever you've done, either undo it or live with it. This is not that difficult.
Yeah.
Get it freaking done, conferences and NCAA. Mm-hmm. If they don't allow this, if they don't do something on the grandfathering in phasing, they're going to lose. They're going to lose in the long term. She is giving you the longest olive branch that she possibly can. I mean, literally telling you, if you don't do this, I'm going to deny it.
Then you're going to go to trial, and you're 0 for the last 22 in all your federal trials.
With all of it.
Yeah.
And I know you're still hard on 50-50. I'm not. I'm still at 80-20. Unless the NCAA and the conferences, and it's not the NCAA,
no,
it's the conferences.
Yes,
if they're that freaking arrogant and that stuck up about this, then screw them. I'm sorry.
Then they're going to lose.
This is not that difficult.
Yeah.
Give her grandfathering. We talked to Immaculate about this not too long ago. I am blown away that the posturing that's going on right now. Mm-hmm. Now, in fairness, and Immaculate says, and I appreciate him putting this in the chat because we're not on X right now.
Yeah.
But he says the NCAA and P5 just put out a statement. Obviously, Dellinger's reporting, not a final statement. They're closely reviewing Judge Wilkins' order here. Well, the other side has already basically said,
"Good,
hey, we're ready to go."
Yeah, let's go.
So it's 2 versus 1.
Yeah.
You got 3 parties in here. You got the defendants, the plaintiffs, and the judge, right?
Yeah.
The plaintiffs and the judge are on one side.
Yeah.
The defendants better step up to the plate and get this shit done. Pardon my French, because if they don't, JY's going to lose his freaking mind.
A lot of people are.
This is absolutely asinine.
So DJ makes a great point. They gave everyone an extra year because of COVID. We're big wrestling guys. We just saw wrestlers have a 6th year.
Stupid.
They're 7.
Almost. The freaking Utah quarterback has freaking 7 years if he wants it, doesn't
almost
he?
30 years
Rising
old.
Or whatever the hell his name is. It's ridiculous.
So
thank you, DJ.
Yeah.
I am blown away by the arrogance. And I get, okay, so part of me says, being in administration, you say we can't do it. Because if you don't have to do it, you're not going to do it.
Right.
Well, she now says that you have
Better
to do
do
it.
it. Yep.
Okay, fine. My point here is, if they don't do it, they're freaking stupid.
Yes. Because they will.
They can do it.
Trial.
They can do it.
Right. They just don't.
They don't want to do it.
That's
they
the problem.
can do it. They don't want to do it. Well, she's just like, hey, guess what? You may not want to do it, but you got to do it.
Yeah.
And do it. Like, oh, Steve.
Well, let's go back.
I'm getting all fired
Let's
up.
go back to the conversation we had with Immaculate.
All right.
And this is not me trying to pat myself on the back and say I was right.
Here.
But if you
I will. You were right.
If you remember, I said there were two really major parts and they were different from each other. One was, the one problem I had with it was the trying to use settlement of past grievances to set a forward structure, which is going to still be vulnerable to antitrust issues. And she's basically acknowledged that.
Yes,
said,
she has.
Future people can just sue you, and this settlement might get blown up anyways.
Right.
But she's not doesn't seem too worried about that. But what I said at the time is, but there's another major component to this is the roster limit issue, the walk on, and that is where it could tug at her heartstrings.
Yes.
They have all these statements from people, and it's
Absolutely.
the lowest people on the totem pole. The people that they don't make any money.
Yep.
They don't have anyone to fight for them.
Yep.
All of those things. Those are the people being hurt by this. And she's basically saying, hey, you guys better figure this out. These track players and whatever, those are the real student athletes.
Yep.
The NCAA has been beating that drum. And the NCAA is made up of the university presidents. That's who they are.
That's
an
all they
organization.
are.
That's what they are.
Yes.
And they have been beating that drum of the student athletes since we've been alive. And now it's time to just take care, this group of student athletes that are great, that they can grandfather in, that are there right now, take care of them for the next 3 years, whatever, so they can finish playing their sport, finish their degree, and move on. They're going to be doctors and lawyers and all those things. Let them finish their freaking sport.
It's so easy. Screw the phase-in.
Yeah.
Just grandfather the kids.
Exactly.
It's so easy.
Yep.
And you don't have to mess with the roster limits.
Right.
Just make the kids that are there now on scholarship exempt from the roster. Like, dude, I'm not a genius.
Right.
But it ain't that freaking hard.
Yeah.
Is it?
No, I don't think it's hard. I didn't think it was hard. The only thing, some of the schools jumped the gun. Well,
that's what happens.
Yes. And so if you told a track athlete, hey, you're not going to have a scholarship for next year, now send them a letter and say, hey, you're going to have your scholarship. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah. You have a choice now. Yes. You can go reach back out to them and say,
if you want to come back,
you can come back if you want to. Yep. Here it is. If you've moved on, we apologize.
Yes.
There's ways to do this. Does it take more effort? Yeah. But you're the ones that chose. So here's the deal, Steve. I was thinking about this today. I'm going to go there.
All right.
I have to deal with state budgets in my job.
Yes.
Do I believe what the governor says in February about what the state budget's going to be in July?
That's the opening step of the negotiation.
Nope.
Right.
I don't believe it.
Right.
Do I budget for that? Nope. I don't budget for that.
Right.
Because it's the first step in the process.
Yes.
I don't listen to the noise until the freaking thing is signed. Because then
June 30th.
I will waste my time, or not waste, I will spend my time learning what's in the real budget. This isn't real yet.
Right.
And I get it. People want to get ahead of it, and we want to do this, and we want to do that. I get that. But, man, you're taking a risk. And if you took that risk and you get burnt, hey, that's what happens in freaking real life. I'm getting fired up, Steve.
Yeah. Well, just think about this.
You know why? Because I'm drinking beer tonight.
Think about this. So everybody is relying on this settlement, which I've said for a while people shouldn't do. But they're relying on this settlement for certainty. They're already making plans.
Well, and for months now. Like, this was going to happen.
Right.
And we're on the precipice. We are on 50-50.
Yeah.
Whether or not the NCAA is going to bend over. And not even bend over. That sounds bad.
Yeah.
Just do what they should do.
Yes.
And, sorry, go ahead.
And so the NCAA is one of the defendants in this case, right? So what happens if the judge does not approve this settlement? They go to trial.
They're screwed.
And they are completely screwed. And what's our scenario? And this really is an antitrust case, which she made clear multiple times. It's not a Title IX case, or this is an antitrust case. The NCAA is literally 0 for 22 or 0 for 23. And on one of the most significant cases that happened just a few years ago, our buddy, I like beers, Brett Kavanaugh.
Brett
Kavanaugh, I like beers, said, the NCAA, you are a walking antitrust violation. The next time one of these cases comes to us, if you don't get your shit fixed, we are going to blow you up. You are not going to exist anymore.
Yes.
So figure it out. Well, here's your chance. NCAA, which means university presidents, because you're going to be 0 for 25, and Brett Kavanaugh, I like beers, is going to say, you don't exist anymore. And then it's just the total Wild West.
I'm not so sure they can figure it out. I think they're too damn arrogant.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm still at 80-20. I'm holding the line, Steve. I'm holding the line that they see the light. They played the card, right? It's like a hand of Texas Hold'em.
Yeah. They tried to bluff.
They went for they tried to bluff
someone out
on what is it, the river or whatever the hell it is.
The flop.
It didn't.
River,
the flop. They tried to bluff on the flop. It didn't work out. The river came. They're like, oh crap! Am I gonna fold or am I? Know when to hold them. We need some freaking what's his name?
When to fold. Kenny Rogers.
Yeah. Thank you. But yeah, like, dude,
my wife says my beard is starting to look like Kenny Rogers' beard.
I love it. Get it done. Like, we're gonna follow this closely. This just happened today. We're giving you our opinions kind of from the hip, but at the same time, like when we talked about this, was it 2 weeks? Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm going, what am I missing here? Like, this isn't that hard. Like, just grandfather these freaking kids in. And I will also say, Immaculate kind of brought up where, you know, is there a point, is there a topic, is there an issue that the objectors got to the judge and that the judge feels like she needs to put her stamp on it? Well, clearly, I think the objectors got to her on this.
With their personal statements and their videos.
And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I think it's right, honestly.
Yeah.
They did get to her on this. And now she's like, yeah, I'm not playing games.
Yeah.
This isn't freaking hopscotch. This is federal court. Do it or pay the price. And, you know,
and I think she's being fair on it because she's saying, you know what, future people, I can't do anything about that.
Right.
That's going to remain to be seen.
Right.
But these are current players right now
Yes.
that signed up under a certain type of rules.
Yep.
And if we do this settlement, they're just blown up and sent home. They're current student athletes.
yeah. All right. Well, I beat that freaking horse to death. Maybe we'll have something next week. Now, she gave him 2 weeks. I think she gave him 14 days. So I don't think we'll have anything next week. But probably the week after. Hopefully the NCAA says, yes, we can do this. It's the right thing to do. Get the damn settlement done. And then maybe we can get into some new governance. So let's talk about that last.
Okay.
The only thing I want to bring up, I didn't have a chance to really look over this. There was a lot of changes that they're asking for with governance. Go ahead.
And I think all of those rules, one of the things I read, all the new rules that you're going to discuss are predicated upon the House settlement going through.
Yes, right. They are. And so, let's stop right now because DJ in the house, $10 super chat. Go.
Yeah, so David Jorgensen says, now some schools like Nebraska carry 140 football players. Matt Rule felt obligated to let players know they are not part of the 105, so they should start looking. It's great that he did that. I think Lincoln Riley did the same and some other coaches. And now what I will say for DJ, and I know he's Mr. Go Big Red, Nebraska was notorious for doing this back in the day, carrying all these extra walk-ons that got free jobs from the local car dealership and all that stuff. But he's absolutely right with this point. There's a lot of programs. They need more than that 105, or they have needed the way they've operated.
Yeah.
Have practices and all that stuff. Give them time. Grandfather these players in.
Yes.
And you said don't worry about a phase in. Well, it becomes a natural phase out.
Absolutely.
Because these players will fall off the roster each year.
It's a phase out, not a phase in.
Exactly.
Yes.
So good point, DJ.
Yeah, I don't need Valium, JEH. I usually hold my crap together here on our shows, but I am my blood pressure is at the point where it's pinging the top rail.
You're in the middle of a playoff hockey game.
I am in the middle of playoff hockey. So let's wrap this sucker up. Yeah. The last thing I want to talk, DJ, thank you so much. Got to be the champion of our super chats. Yeah. We have a few of them, but I think DJ is probably number one. To go back to the FBS, FCS governance, there were some pieces that kind of, and Immaculate talked about this, kind of sprinkled the fact that there could be maybe some leniency or a window of
let people move around and get where they need to be.
And again, I don't want to go down. I don't want to go too far down the path because we don't know exactly what that means. Is it the $5 million? Is it the 2-year probationary period? Is it the X, Y, and Z? We don't know what that is. But the fact that they're talking about it, and I'm going to give Immaculate a shout out here.
Yeah, he's coming on.
He has talked about this for a long time. He knows that I have been on FCS programs moving to FBS, banging the drum of North Dakota State, of Tarleton State, Sac State, who we followed very closely. And he has been on this for a while that, the new governance or the interim period between where we are now and where we're going to get could lead to some openings for FCS programs. And I put on X, pay attention, Tarleton, and they are, like, they don't listen to me, but pay attention, North Dakota State, pay attention, Tarleton State. Sac State's going no matter what. I mean, I have been told, regardless of what the governance is going to be, they're ready to go, they're going to go, boom, we're going.
Yep.
But for the other programs that want to get somewhere, pay attention, because this could be your opportunity that you may never have again.
Right.
And so, I think the next few months could be really interesting if we get a settlement and if we get new governance. And the if is probably bigger than ever right now. Hopefully not. But I hope we get the settlement and the governance so we can get to a new reality. And yes, it's not the end all be all, but it's a super important first step to get us to the future. So
totally agree, 100%. And I'm looking forward to, and Immaculate said that he doesn't think the Senate is going to act until this settlement goes through. And it does. It seems like this is the important first step, which would make, if this goes through, I'd be a lot more, not more confident, maybe somewhat more confident that Congress could actually come through with some legislation. It's like you need these building blocks to get us to where we're going to be, because where we're at right now is just crazy town.
Yes, stupid town. So yes, and Immaculate saying, Sac State could join a conference without a 2-year, wait period. Absolutely, anybody could. Yes, Tyler, keep preaching it. NDSU, 10-time FCS champion. They are absolutely ready for FBS. My understanding is they just need the right invite. Not a invite, the right invite.
And honestly, I think if they were to get an invite to the Mountain West, they would be a contender for a Mountain West championship right away.
Yep.
Day one.
I agree with you. What was the last thing I wanted to do here, Steve?
Which also would then put them in contention to compete for a CFP spot.
Right.
Which
100%.
You put North Dakota State in a 12-team playoff, look out, baby. Look out.
Brad asked me what type of beer I'm drinking. I'm drinking a light beer. I am trying to lose a few weight. A few pounds, I should say. It's going okay. Beer is my nemesis.
Yeah. Hey, maybe you need to try Michelob Ultra. It's got
it's like water?
Yeah. 50
It's
calories.
even more water than Coors Light.
Yeah.
Coors Light is my weight loss beer. But anyway, all right. Well, we're going to wrap it up. JY has some hockey to go watch. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate news dropping on a Wednesday. Again, we can't give you a lot of the details, but we can at least give you a little bit of our thoughts on it. My opinion is NCAA and the conferences get this done. It's not going to get any better. She's telling you what you need, the judge, and you can do it. It's not that you can't do it. You can do it. Get it done.
Part of me wants them to that F around and find out and not do it and get slapped, because I want another SNL skit with Brett Kavanaugh just demolishing the NCAA.
Okay, well, if you haven't seen the Brett Kavanaugh SNL skit, when we're done with this, go check it out. He drinks a lot of water, which I'll be drinking later on this evening. It's freaking hilarious.
Yep.
And it's not, forget the politics, just watch it.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's Matt Damon, and he does a bang-up job. So
I like beer.
I like beer. That's right. So, hey, guys, we thank you guys so much. Thank you, Bill. Make sure you hit that like button. We're going to try to keep doing this. I will tell you, if JY has some important hockey games to watch, we'll probably call a not this week type of deal. But, hey, the Caps keep winning. We're all good.
I'm going to the beach later this month, so we're missing at least one.
In May.
Yeah.
We're in May.
Or next month, yeah.
He's going to the beach, and I'm going to Texas State.
Ooh.
So any Bobcat fans, I will be down there in about a month. I'll put all my good stuff out there. Would love to meet some of our Texas State dwellers. And I'll be going to Tarleton State here in October, too. So we got a lot of good stuff happening. All right. Hey, with that, we thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time on the Big Mountain.